Welcome to another edition of The Wrap. I'm your host Adam Westgate, and today we are going to be talking about Micky 17, 1-7. Now, there are going to be spoilers in this, so if you don't want to know about Micky 17, you don't want any spoilers, please do not listen on. So I guess with the Batman being delayed further, I mean, 2030s aren't out of the question at this point, are they? Oh boy. Be longer than the runtime. Robert Pattinson had to find something to do. I mean, Twilight wasn't exactly going to come back as like old man version Twilight. So he kind of went, yeah, Micky 17, why not? We've all heard of that. Buggered if I... But I saw the trailer, I saw it got recommended, and I was like, yeah, alright, I got recommended this. The trailer hooked me in, honestly. Before I was like, well, I'll give it a go in terms of the trailer, but I actually got hooked in more than I do usually. It's a kind of dark sci-fi comedy, sci-fi dark comedy, whatever you want to say. It's an unusual mix, and I kind of knew going into it, even though I didn't explicitly know, that this would be one of those odd things these days of a one-off movie. I don't see there being... Well, there is a Micky 18, but we'll get to that later. Don't see there being a Micky 18, 19, 20... I mean, probably the Fast and Furious are above that now, but I don't see this really being a franchise. But I kind of like the fact that I thought it'd all be done in a standalone movie. That I wasn't disappointed about, so that was a good job. So, I'm not going through blow by blow, but essentially it's about settling a new planet. So people who are desperate to leave Earth for various reasons, obviously we don't know the full reasons for everybody outside the main characters, but they're going to this planet called Niflheim on what I assume... No, I don't assume, we know is a corporate private mission. That's actually quite relevant to the story, the fact that it's private and corporate because of a failed politician who decides to be really rich and use their money to do that and basically win by, I couldn't win 2 elections there, so guess what? I'll just make my own planet and be ruler for life. Hey, you got the money to waste. But Micky, the main character, Micky 17, the actual Micky, Micky 1, he's got some debt problems, and his slimy best friend kind of didn't let him know the extent of the debt problems. It was the equivalent of the Mafia, probably was the Mafia in this particular version of Earth, and they didn't actually want the money back because the head of it wanted to cut limbs off and study science. Yeah, I mean, I'd just rather keep Owen the Vig at this point, so no, it wasn't going to happen. So they had to get off the planet somehow, and Micky didn't have the qualifications to get onto this colonial mission, except for the worst job going, which was an expendable. Not the Expendables to be mixed up with Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger and that, because they kind of didn't die once. They didn't die multiple times. They didn't die at all in that. Really misleading. Micky 17 is making up for the Expendables, because in this movie, as an expendable, your job is to die. Not just to die over and over and over and over and over and over again. In the name of science, it is to keep perishing and for them to observe your suffering. Potentially lack thereof, if you have a really lucky day, but from the scientist's perspective, for you to suffer, tell them about it, and then die. Because they have 3D printers that can just print humans when they've got your brain copied onto this brick hard drive. I did find it funny that it was actually literally looked like a brick. So they explain, I used to take this much computer, now it's this. It's a brick. Don't know if that was meant to be funny or not, but I found it amusing. Maybe I'm just simple. But yes, you don't work to live, you don't live to work, you just simply work to die. Multiple times. And that's another thing, because the base of this movie is the multiples, because as we get told, there was a case on Earth where somebody had a multiple, so, oh, he didn't commit this murderer, didn't commit killing homeless people because he wasn't there, he was at this other thing, whereas this rich guy had just literally created multiple versions of himself to have alibis. So they kind of ruled that out, which is understandable, so you can't have multiples, they have to be destroyed. There can only be one version of each person. And I just want to give a shout out to Robert Pattinson, because aside from the fact that, spoiler, there are multiple versions of Robert Pattinson, which is the problem that happens in this movie, Robert Pattinson is incredible. Like, he reminds me of how Leonardo DiCaprio was sort of... Because when I was young, when I was a young kid, back in my day, Titanic came out, and Leonardo DiCaprio was typecast as, just gets it, he's a pretty boy. Yeah, alright. I think The Island was another thing that happened with that. Anyway, DiCaprio rant aside, Robert Pattinson was obviously typecast with Twilight. He's now done The Batman, and now he's done Micky 17. I mean, he's done other movies as well, but the contrast in these characters, I mean, he clearly likes to take challenging roles, or roles that aren't literally what he's done before, so that he has a challenge. He must have easier options on his plate, so he does an incredible job. And a lot of the movie, he's actually just interacting with himself, or no one, because unless the multiples thing was actually true, he is literally one person. He's Robert One, and that's it. So anyway, as I said, evil corporation is going off to find El Dorado, the planet Niflheim. Takes about 4.5 years, and on there Micky discovers love interest, Nasha. Great for Micky, but Micky's being an expendable. Micky is not really having a good time as he's being exposed to extreme radiation, poisoned by gases and viruses, and you see when he gets on the planet, they're like, oh, just take it off, it's cool, you can breathe it, it's like an M-class planet in Star Trek, except we need to find out what the viruses are down there. We didn't tell you that before we took it off. So he dies over and over again, and he gets printed over and over again. And by the way, the printing, I really liked the feel of the monotony of the printing, because that was another thing. This movie had really dark tones, comedy in it. It wasn't like laugh out loud as in, oh, this is ridiculous, but it was funny, sometimes in a morbid way. But they also had monotonous moments where it was like, oh, yeah, this is life, more life. It just happened. Monotony, people kind of being, because life is boring a lot of the time. Not a lot is actually happening, and also things that might seem amazing to us, if we were there, they just would be, because why? Because, well, it just is. I mean, if somebody 100 years ago came in and saw the internet, how we use mobile phones, even like me talking to this camera, they'd be like, holy crap, what's going on? Well, guess what? We're just like, life. It's life, isn't it? So, and a couple of things that I felt about this movie were, first of all, when they got to the planet, I liked the fact that the animals were friendly, that the ecosystem, actually that is the problem, the ecosystem, that the beings, the natives, were friendly. I liked that. I didn't actually necessarily think they'd be violent, but I hadn't thought of that. I just assumed he'd get eaten when he was supposed to get eaten, but hey, that added a twist. But it made sense. But I didn't like the fact on the planet, and I know I literally had a holiday in Svalbard, which is the furthest north you can go to a settlement. Polar bears, I didn't see any, but you know, we saw huskies, we saw reindeer, you know, we saw prints of different birds and Arctic foxes. An ecosystem is my point. It was a hostile environment. It was like -20, real feel -28. No other animal on that planet, which was like, look, they don't have to be the focus. In fact, they can be in the background, but there must be. And it's so many sci-fi things, they just don't have an ecosystem. I'm sorry, there will be an ecosystem at some point. And even if, like, let's say, I don't know, 20 years from now we find an alien planet, just for argument's sake, it's just one animal there, I don't care, because we are literally watching a movie in 2025, and I perceive that there will be an ecosystem. So yeah, that's just a small thing, but it's not the biggest deal. I think it would add something. I did think as well that the main villains, I guess it was supposed to be Elon Musk and Mrs. Musk. I mean, Mrs. Musk isn't really a thing in real life. I don't even know if he's married. I assume he is. But I don't know that level of detail about Elon Musk. But I'm assuming this was supposed to be an Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos thing. They were just a bit cartoonish at times. They were just, it was like awkward Dr. Evil. Look, someone who's in that position could possibly be, no, they would be out of touch to a degree, but they wouldn't be completely like as ridiculous as this was, because it was obvious to anyone if you were in that position that it's like, these people are really weird, really off, why have they got a cult following? Even people who are a bit weird who get cult followings, they can still relate to some degree, but there was never that thing, and it was partially a cult. You know, the church and the different things, it was partially a cult, so it's like, it was completely a cult, it's like, at least, and his wife was trying to cajole him, and I get that, to be like, say the normal things, be the human. Even then he didn't. So the Marshals to me, especially Kenneth, were just, that stood out to me as a bit disappointing, but hey ho. Other than that, I like the fact that, you know, the animals, the natives got their, well, they got their bluff in and they actually beat them in the end, but also obviously lived in harmony with the humans, and we had a happy ending all told in one movie, which is really rare to either happen or be the intention at the start, because sometimes things get cancelled. But this was all wrapped up. I don't see a second one, and the whole, I just liked how he managed to do Mickey 17 and Mickey 18, Mickey 18 being the other duplicate, the other... So I really like the fact that this movie had just one story, and it clearly is intended to be one story. That's really rare, because most of the time when it's one story now, it just didn't do well enough. It got cancelled. Most things intend to be a franchise. Don't see it with this. You had Mickey 17 and Mickey 18, the other multiple. The fact that they were different was really cool. That was really dodgy with Nasha. Basically, actually quite cool that Nasha was basically bringing out different sides of herself with different Mickeys, it seems. But we are supposed to root for Mickey 17 because he's the soft one, and Mickey 18's the more ruthless, hard, murderous, psychopathic, but with a heart of gold. Because he managed to sacrifice himself in the end, and there was only one Mickey, Mickey 17, the one that we are supposed to want, the one that I personally did want, and I think most other people did as well, to survive. Yes, he's got some trauma at the end, which we see with the flashbacks, or the sort of flash forwards. It's a bit trippy, but in a good way. But it's all nicely solved. They've got Niflheim, they've got their home, the natives have still got their home. I mean, they managed to communicate with them quickly. That was quite cool. So I thought it was a really cool movie. Yeah, there were things they could have improved, but hey, one-off movie, good time. If you do get the chance to see it, I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. So, what did you think? Did you enjoy it like me, or perhaps you thought there were more criticisms than I laid down? Please like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think, and until next time, I'll see you later.